I have lost my singing voice, unfortunately, so I thought we would speak the incense burning. And I find when I speak it, I get a different perspective that's really enjoyable. So let's say that together.
Perfect.
Incense
We can
burning.
hear you.
All space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. The reason I'm talking about this subject today is because I needed it for me. I've been working for quite a bit of time trying to figure out what this discordance I had, what was missing. And so this gave me the opportunity to find this for myself. So I needed to get clarity, and I did. Putting this together really helped me. So I hope much of it was not new to you, but perhaps there's pieces of the way it comes together that might be useful. Those of you who know me well here know I'm pretty intense. Laughter. As I studied about the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas and becoming one, it became just as real to me as deciding to go to the grocery store. I was eager to move on. I was eager to move up the ladder. And it got into how much time will it take? How many lifetimes? And I could not bear the word eons. It's like, forget it. And thinking of eons, that means how many eons have we already been through that we have forgotten? We're not at the beginning of the beginning. In the Hindu tradition, we're taught that when we first come into this world, we come in as rocks. And then we gradually move forward to becoming plants. And then we incarnate as fish and birds and then animals and then finally humans. That's the Hindu tradition. But it's eons, whatever it is. And the stress that I put on myself to get there, wherever there is, was really intense. And it reminded me of when a boss comes to an employee and says, you need to get this job now, and you've got 3 days to do it, but you know it's going to take at least 2 weeks. There's that, I can't, but I have to. I was feeling that kind of stress, and I knew that wasn't right, that I shouldn't be feeling that stress, but I was doing that to myself in my mind. I'm not sure when this happened. It was in my 30s or 40s. It wasn't a vision. It was something that I created with my very aware mind. I imagined that Jesus, because I was a Christian at that time, that if Jesus came to me in full body, what we would call Nirmanakaya, but in full body, like Thomas could reach out and touch, if Jesus appeared in front of me right here now and said, will you drop everything right now and come with me? As I suppose he did to the fisherman. And I'm imagining this, I'm very consciously doing it, and I'm thinking to myself, and he means right this instant, I'm asking, you say yes. And I said, I'm not ready. I can't do it now. But someday I will be ready. Because I never forgot that, thought about it many times. But where I am now, I've asked myself if the Buddha or Buddha Master came to me right now, walked right in this door right now, in body, Alanda could reach back and touch the body and say, "Is this real?" And said, "Would you come with me right now?" Which meant either walk away or drop my body. I wouldn't hesitate a second. I would be gone. David would have to deal with what was left. But that's the shift that I've made, and that's part of the intensity that I feel because I'm so committed. Recently, I had a thought that was helpful to me in the stress that I have put on myself. And that was the stress that I put on was like, imagine that there's a book and all the pages, instead of being individual pages, it opens up, it's like one long accordion, and the book just goes from beginning to end. And I realized that I had been looking at the teachings by reading the headings of each chapter. I'm trying to go from heading to heading to heading to heading. But when you open it up, you realize there's a lot of things you have to learn that are in between the headings. There's a lot of things that one has to do, the places one has to go, what we have to learn, how we have to. Anyway, it kind of brought me back to reality that this process of becoming a bodhisattva is not a quick process. And we can't put it in terms of months or even years. So the more my mind drives me, the further away I am from true emptiness. The words are the map. They're not the territory. First time I heard that phrase about 40 years ago, it took me, I didn't understand it. Of course the map is true. It took me a long time to actually understand the phrase that the map is not the territory. And so this had been leading me for some time to ask the question, what is a causal bodhisattva? You've all heard Panavati say to all of us, you are causal bodhisattvas. The first time she said that to me, just her to me, I didn't have a clue to what she was talking about. But she was smiling, so I figured it was good, but I didn't know. So that has puzzled me for a long, long time. What really is a causal bodhisattva? And if we are all causal bodhisattvas, what does that expect of us? What are we expected to do? What does that mean? And so the title of what I'm talking about today is called Demystify and Simplify. And what are we demystifying and simplifying? What does it mean to be a causal bodhisattva, and how do we live it? And this I had been researching for years and I knew some of the pieces, but they didn't all fit together. And because they didn't fit together, I was stressing myself. So what I'm going to do is take us through what is a causal bodhisattva, and then we can have a discussion about how each of us, if you are willing to share, how we're living that. Much of what I'm going to say today, I'm taking from a website called buddhajourney.net. And it's called The Buddha Journey. And I've studied this topic many times online, but this one put in the little pieces that I had never been able to figure out, which kind of left me stressed inside. So most of this I'm quoting from there. I'll let you know when I quote from Buddha Master, and I'll let you know when it's just me talking. So in Theravada, a person is seeking to be enlightened. In Mahayana, a person has accepted the fact that there are bodhisattvas and one wants to become a bodhisattva and a Buddha. And Vajrayana are methodologies, if you might put it that way, to help us get there. So in Mahayana, one seeks to become a Buddha and a bodhisattva and ultimately a Buddha. There are what's called 5 paths and 10 bhumis, B-H-U-M-I. Bhumi means land, so you can think of it as landing ground. And where I was confused over the years was paths and bhumis. What was that? So this is part of what helped me. There are 5 paths to Buddhahood, and they're taken in order. They're not different paths that you can go on in different times. You have to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So it's 5 stages. This is not being a bodhisattva yet. The first path is called the path of accumulation or equipment. This comes from the Avatamsaka Sutra, which is all part of the Buddha Journey piece that I'm studying from. The foundation of actions and consequences that influence the progression of karmic retribution. The path of accumulation is the foundation of actions and consequences that influence the progression of karmic retribution. The initial stage, and this is the first stage of the 5 paths, the initial stage of practicing Buddhism, where one begins to cultivate the intention to become a bodhisattva and aids others in achieving enlightenment. So this is a place where one is learning about Buddhism, but not necessarily yet committed to becoming a bodhisattva. The aspiring bodhisattva possesses a strong desire of developing bodhicitta. This is one of the paths of causal bodhisattva. We're not bodhisattvas, we're planning the causes to become one. Causal bodhisattva, it's also called causal ground. This refers to the foundational practices, cultivation, and vows that a bodhisattva undertakes, which are the seeds of the future enlightenment and the wellspring of their ability to assist others. This is the first path. So as I think about that, I think about people who are curious about Buddhism and they study it. Maybe they practice the 10 good characteristics. Maybe they don't even know about bodhisattvas. or maybe they've heard about them, but I don't know if I want to be them. You know, one of them cut off their arm to feed the hungry tiger. I don't think I'm going to go there. So they haven't moved to the place where they've accepted necessarily to be a bodhisattva, but they're loving what they're reading and what they're studying. So it's that. But when one is studying bodhisattva or studying Buddhism and beginning to become involved in it, one is on that first path. When bodhicitta, we'll talk more about what that is, when bodhicitta is fully developed, fully cultivated, we then move to the second path. And on the second path, we're still causal bodhisattvas. But the whole first path is the development, the accumulation, and the developing of our cultivation and the development of bodhicitta. We move to the second path, which is still a causal bodhisattva, when we've fully achieved bodhicitta. Then the second path, the bodhisattva meditates on emptiness until it becomes clear to them. So this is me putting in from elsewhere, which would be jhana or dhyana. This doesn't occur until cultivation of bodhicitta is fully developed. One may have glimpses and not even know what they are, but one is not able to go there and stay there and be in it until cultivation is fully developed. And Buddha Master said 90% of our work is cultivation, 10% is meditation. So the path of training, path 2 is the path of training. Thubten Chodron, who is the abbess of Sravasti Abbey in Washington, follow the Gulag path, which is the one the Dalai Lama is on. In one of her talks, she made the statement that in some Tibetan monasteries, the monks study for maybe 20 years before they even begin meditating. So that's quite a statement. That's not all monasteries, but that's some monasteries, that they have to work on the study first. Once that path 2, where we have clarity, we're able to stay in a jhana, and we've cultivated bodhicitta. Once we can stay in dhyana for a period of time, then we move to the third path. And the third path is the first of the bodhisattva paths. There's 10 bodhisattva paths, and that doesn't start till there's 10 bodhisattva levels. It's called bhumis, B-H-U-M-I. They don't start till the third of the paths. So in that third path, the first level of bodhisattva exists. After deep meditation, which was path 2, the bodhisattva feels that their mind and emptiness are one and realizes the emptiness of reality. At this stage, the bodhisattva does not create new karma, but still has old karma that gets eradicated with their increasing powers. I think that's referring to Arhat. Don't quote me, but from all that I've studied, that's because when you do the research on the Arhat, they are the ones that don't create new karma. So that's how I'm putting that together. The fourth path is from the 2nd to the 7th level of bodhisattvas. The 2nd to 7th level of bodhisattvas are on the 4th path, which is the path of intense contemplation meditation. And the fifth path would be the 8th to the 10th level of bodhisattvas or bhumis. It's called freedom, no more learning. This is the stage where the bodhisattva has completely purified themselves. And there really isn't 11, but if there were, that would be Buddhahood. And there's levels to Buddhahood, which we know nothing about. So, what does a causal bodhisattva do? If we're causal bodhisattvas, what is expected of us? Early on, we're studying and we're beginning to understand the Buddhist principles. We're growing in acceptance, in belief, in determination. We listen to Dharma talks. We read and study. We do research. And gradually, we're starting to let go of doubt. It's a process taken at our own individual level, at our own rate, according to our own karmic, where we are karmically, our own karmic readiness. So, more specifically, taking refuge. At some point within that first path, we decide to go all in with Buddhism. We're not going to, Jesus, Allah, Yahweh, these are no longer going to be the highest level for us. We've decided that we want to be a Buddhist, and then we take refuge. When we take refuge, we're saying, I put my faith, everything, in the hands of Buddha, not Jesus, not Allah, not Yahweh, but Buddha. And the teachings, the Dharma teachings, the holy teachings from the Buddha, and the sangha, the holy sangha, all of those bodhisattvas, and the Dharma protectors who are protecting us along the way. We take refuge in them. We pray to them. We offer them offerings. We take the vows. It's really important not to take the vows until we're ready to follow the 8 precepts. That's conditional to taking the vows. Because when we take refuge, we are vowing to follow those precepts. So there's 5 precepts that both monastics and lay people take. First one is
don't kill.
Killing. Is that what you said? That's right. Abstaining from killing. The trick about these precepts is it isn't as simple as one would think. None of us kill people. So we passed, right? But what about the ants and the mosquitoes that we kill every day when we're walking on the ground? So there is a dharma to raise the consciousness of the dead. And if we don't have that dharma, at least we can pray to Buddha and say on a daily basis, I know I have killed, and I'm offering these insects, animals, whatever to you, and asking, would you raise their consciousness? Not raise them from the dead. We don't want dead ants coming back, but raising their consciousness to another level in their next life. Second one is abstaining from stealing, which is anything that doesn't belong to us. People who are late consistently are stealing people's time. A week or so ago, I had an interesting experience with one of my clients. He likes to eat these Lunchables at night. It's this little thing you open up and it's got meat and cheese and so on. And the one he was buying had this plastic tub of a sweet juice, and it also had a Reese's candy bar. And he is a diabetic. And he automatically said, throw those away. I just want the sandwich. Good for him. So I took him to the kitchen and I'm looking at that Reese's candy bar, which I love. Okay, he doesn't want it. He said, throw it away. Can't I just put it in my pocket? And I must have been there 5 minutes thinking about this. Now I know if I went back and said to him in the living room, could I have that? He'd say, absolutely. I don't want it, please. He'd been happy. But that wasn't the thing I was pondering. What I was pondering is, he said, throw it away. If I put that in my pocket because he doesn't want it, did I steal it? And I came to the conclusion, it's still his. He told me what to do with it, and that was throw it away. So I'm getting into the fine nuances of what we can get into when we say, well, I follow that precept, I don't steal.
Could have thrown it away and then picked it up.
There, yeah.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna use it.
Oh, I wanted that candy bar so bad. I think because I didn't think I should take it, I wanted it more. The third one is abstaining from sexual misconduct. Oh, this is a fun one. If you are a monastic, of course, it's a total no-no. But what if you're not a monastic? Of course, it states in this particular writing that I took it from adultery, unloving sexual encounters, and others. And I'm going to recommend to you the Lam Rim Book 1, page 215, the varieties of karma, that page, and you will have some startling revelations. I know Elsie has read it. It's like, what?
Yeah,
So,
let's read it again.
I'm not going to read it in this class. Abstaining from telling lies. That's the fourth one. Lying, gossiping, slander, and other forms of harmful communication. Some of us have been talking about gossiping. What is gossiping? And so I looked it up, and the key seems to be the word malicious. We can talk about people with loving kindness, with compassion. When we talk about someone with the idea of putting them down, so that we're judging them and we're better than they are, and we're trying to get the people we're talking to think less of this other person, that's gossip. So the key word is malicious. So if we're saying, I don't agree with somebody, are we saying it with loving kindness? Are we saying it with compassion? Are we saying it with a matter of learning? That is not gossip, but it was something we really were trying to decide when we were having a conversation is, what are we doing here? Are we gossiping or are we being kind? And the fifth one is abstaining from intoxicating drinks and drugs, anything that might cloud the mind. So I thought about mushrooms too. So if a person's going to take refuge, this is what they're saying they're going to do. Monastics, I won't go through all of theirs, it was very interesting, but male monks have 227 precepts they have to follow. And fully ordained nuns in Theravada have 311 precepts. Why do women have more than the men? I don't know, but they have a lot. And so our nuns here are attempting to abide by 311. So they also, when they take refuge, they take 8. When we went to, when Sada went down to join the monastery in South Carolina, the lay women, they were Laos people, asked us, did you take 5 or 8 vows as a layperson? So apparently some of them, they take all 8 vows, even though they're not monastics. And those are, they abstain from eating after noon, they abstain from entertainment and beautifying the body, and they abstain from sleeping or sitting on high furniture, because that's proud versus humble. So some lay people do take all eight. So another part of being a causal bodhisattva is dependent origination. This concept, also known as interdependent arising, explains that all phenomena, including enlightenment, arises from causes and conditions. Bodhisattvas, through their skillful actions and vows, create the necessary conditions for enlightenment to arise in themselves and others. So dependent origination must be a belief that we have as a causal bodhisattva. And then there is bodhicitta, which is the thing we must fully develop in order to move on to the path of training, the second level or the second path. So bodhicitta consists of the four immeasurables, which are
Generosity.
Hmm?
Generosity.
Generosity,
Patience.
patience, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Now the
Loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy. And
pardon?
she was thinking of the eight, but
Oh, I just didn't hear you.
yeah.
I thought you might not have.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you. So Buddha Master broadened the definitions of each of these out. Loving kindness, and this is, he states this in expounding on the Heart Sutra. And when we're doing our preliminary practices, if we think about these four, I actually say these four sentences that the Buddha Master gives as part of my practice. For loving kindness, he says, I wish for all living beings to have peace and happiness and the causes of peace and happiness. And that's loving kindness. Compassion. I wish for all living beings to be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. Sympathetic joy. I wish for all living beings to have happiness that is free of suffering and forever plant the causes of no suffering. I said that every day in my morning practices for about 2 years, thinking, why that's so much like the first one? What? And then I got a new understanding of that third one. If I wish for all living beings to have happiness without suffering, I'm wishing for them to become an arhat. Because we're still suffering all the way up to that place. Now that's Suka talking, because no suffering only happens once we become an arhat. So I wish for all living beings to have happiness and forever plant the causes of no suffering. We're working on it all the time, but to reach that level would be to enter level 1 of Bodhisattva. The fourth one is equanimity. This is bodhicitta now. I wish for all living beings to be free of greed, hatred, and ignorance, and to abide in emptiness, free of attachment. So that's the 4 levels of bodhicitta. And then we're asked to develop the 10 good characteristics. No killing, free captive beings. No stealing, perform charity. no sexual misconduct, practice chastity for renunciates, no lying, speak the truth, no profanity, use straight talk, no double talk, which is no gossip, bring about peace and accord, no abusive talk, use gentle words, no greed, have correct view, no anger, have loving kindness and compassion, no ignorance, rather know everything is a matter of causes and conditions. In my daily practice, I go through all of these, checking my behavior and what I need to really work on. What is the more difficult? Some things are much. I don't lie, I just don't. But things like patience, greed, all of that, and it takes all the way up to that third level before we. And I'm just throwing in here, as I studied the 10 Bodhisattvas, the one who goes to that 9th level is still getting rid of pride. Bodhisattvas still have these hindrances that go all the way up until they're finally free of them. So we don't need to knock ourselves too hard about not being perfect at this point in time. When one is still on the causal path and still in that first path, just learning, and do I believe this? Do I want to be part of this? And then maybe one takes the vows. When one is ready and has taken refuge and says, yes, I will be a bodhisattva. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm going there. Bottom line. Then there are 4 bodhisattva vows that we can take as causal bodhisattvas, and they are: defilements are countless. I vow to put an end to them.
Could you start that again?
Defilements are countless. I vow to put an end to them. Dharma methods are limitless. I vow to learn them. If you think of being a Buddha, there is no limit there's no beginning, there's no ending. So we're talking about all the methods that can be used by all of the Buddhas. They're limitless. And on the Bodhisattva path, we're learning them. Living beings are innumerable. I vow to save them. And when we make that vow, think of anyone that brings anger to your mind. I vow to save them. Anyone that upsets you, drives you nuts, makes you boil, I vow to save them. And the 4th one is, Buddhahood is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. It took me a long time to even think about Buddhahood. I just want to be a bodhisattva. I vow to realize it. One thing we should know about vows, you don't make them unless you believe them. Because that's what the word vow means. Strike me dead if I don't follow it. That's a vow. So we don't take these things because they sound good or we think we should. They have to come deeply from the heart. Now one can be thinking about them. I want to, but when we make a vow, we're putting our life in action for that. So, having said that, I thought we could have a discussion about how each of us is walking this path in terms of what I've just talked about. For example, I can say that the 1st of August last year, I made the vow to vote to Bodhisattva that concerned right speech. Listen more and speak less. And using the Buddha Master's teachings, not to speak unless, is it true? Is it necessary? Is this the right time and place? Can I speak it with loving kindness? And can I speak it so that the receiver will be grateful? I ain't perfect, but I have been, this year that has been my every day, all the time, working on it, practice. So we can't do all of this all at one time. We have our individual slot. I'm working on this, I'm working on that, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. So we're all in the, we're all causal bodhisattvas. We're all doing it in our own way, on our own time. But I thought we might actually be helpful to each other if we could share how we're walking the causal path, if you're willing.
Thank you.
I appreciate your talk because I too, after all these years of cultivating with you, meditation practice, and lots of purification, but even so, at this point, you really have to confront, where's my practice and am I really willing to enter in and to go there? Yeah. We think we're doing so well, but when you really get clear, and of course that's a sign of progress, the fact that we recognize the shortfall, right? But it's a deep confrontation. It's really a challenge. And I'm definitely there with you. And it's so interesting because we have all the doctrine, we have all the truth, we have all the knowledge to tell us, but then we see where the resistance is, where the shortfall is. But it's, I even got the message from the Dakinis, nothing to fear, nothing to lose. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And you started out in your talk saying that when the wisdom realizing empty and your mind can become one, there you are.
Yeah.
Then it goes from there, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
We have the knowledge, we have the taste of it, we trust it, but how far does that trust go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We believe it.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Jim.
I'm thinking about my reactions to a certain very powerful person in our lives. And how difficult it is to switch from a reactive mode, a harsh speech mode, into loving kindness, into compassion. And I've realized that it's difficult because I enjoy the defilements of heart space in this case. Normally I don't, but that's, there's a cutoff, there's a horizon or a frontier there where it actually feels delightful, justified, righteous to call him out in my mind. So that's just kind of for me, it's kind of a gauge of where I am in cultivating the virtue, paramitas, immeasurables. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's something that I have to keep reflecting on, is that the engine that runs this delight and the defilement is self-righteousness and self-superiority, self.
Would it be fair to say that we love our defilements?
I think it's entirely fair.
We're comfortable now. Thank you.
You put your finger exactly on it. And this confrontation has been coming because I read something just recently and he put it so bald and plain. And he said, if you're attached to this life or to life, you're not a practitioner. Yeah.
What comes to mind is I'm not committed to go that far. Just that's the simple truth to myself is I'm not committed to go that far. I'm committed to do a lot. I'm committed to living a right mind, right speech, etc. But when you start, listing the 10, and no, I'm okay, and I'm all right with being okay. I still get a lot of sometimes words have been tough for me recently. I don't know. Anyway, there's things that are good, things that I get from this, things that I grow with this, things that I set good behaviors and be a generous and kind person with. And I'm okay with a limit. And for me, that's all right. Maybe there's other lives, I'm not sure there are, but for now, this is good enough. Right. So, yeah. But I fully appreciate the talk because I think having people who make that level of commitment helps give me something to learn from, hear from. And we're blessed to have Paniwati and everything between me and them, and they're all wonderful ways to help me get to a better place and be a better person. I mean, my fundamental goal is to try to just be a better person, and I limit to maybe I'm not committed to those full process at this time.
That's the beauty of this. It isn't. It's a progression. It's wherever you are, wherever you want to be, in whatever stage or time you are. It is what it is. It's not. There's no judgment.
Yeah, like you told us, it's not till the third path that you could reach the first blooming.
Right.
It's accumulation.
Right.
Enough positive imprints to withstand,
Right.
Yeah.
right.
the seed, yeah.
I could never figure out how the boomies and the paths worked. It just, that's what this did for me, was to put this in an order of where we are and so forth. And it took some of the pressure off. When it said, Buddha Master said, when you study my expounding and you practice it, you can be enlightened in this life. But if you think back in the Chan tradition, the sixth patriarch, who heard a talk by the fifth patriarch, and suddenly he was enlightened, wasn't the exact truth. He actually slipped in at night and went to that fifth patriarch and had the fifth patriarch gave him a long talk, Dharma talk and teaching. And then he became enlightened. So he was enlightened in one life, but he still needed some help to get there. And he was only enlightened in that life because he'd been working for eons before. Awesome. So we don't need to think of that as a pressure. You can be enlightened this life, so what are you doing? Why aren't you getting there? Be where you are and just be striving to be the next step, whatever that is.
That truth, that it is just a matter of seeing through the delusion and realizing the emptiness, totally possible.
And that will happen at some point in time. But the mind is what's killing us. The mind is the cause of all our suffering. The way we look at what happens to us, do we choose to say, oh my, this is terrible? Or do we say, oh, this is a learning experience. Can I handle this with patience? Can I be compassionate to me? Okay, I acted like a schmuck. I did. Do I want to beat myself on top of it? Or do I want to say, oh, well, I made a mess of that. And just keep going. I'm going to enjoy. Thank you for, I have learned that when negative comes into my life, to say, oh, thank you, now I get to deal with it. Now I get to take. Doesn't mean we don't suffer, but we can certainly lessen it. I work extensively with elderly people, and they have I forgot, what is it they have? They can't think.
Dementia.
Yeah, they have dementia.
Said it, Joe.
I wasn't kidding, I forgot. That's just that's just elderly people.
Right.
And they have all kinds of physical problems. And this one gentleman that I see twice a week and have been now for 8 weeks, I just adore him. The first time I went to him, he said, all I want you to do is have fun while you're here. Now I'm there to clean if there's cleaning that needs to be done, wash clothes if there need to be, fix meals, take them here and there, and assist them with walking and all that. He said, I just want you to sit with me and we'll talk and have fun. We'll watch TV and that's what we do. And gradually I sneak in a few things here and there and do for him. But he wants to have fun because when he's alone, he's not having fun. So he wants companionship more than anything, and just to have fun. Fortunately, we both are historians, so we love learning all kinds of things about history. But I'm enjoying this work that I'm doing because I'm getting a chance to see how well I'm cultivating. When I sit home in the rocking chair waiting to grow old, I can't tell whether I'm mastered something or not. But when I'm out in the world with these people, intensely in their private lives, learning a lot about them, they're depending on me, I learn how well or not so well I've cultivated myself. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. It's been such a blessing. And it also makes me more and more aware of how blessed I am and how blessed we are to be able to know about Buddhism, because these people are ignorant about Buddhism. They don't know the things that we know through our cultivation that's making our life a blessing. And many of them are too old and set in their ways to even learn, and that's sad. But what a blessing that we're here.
This man sounds like a great teacher. I mean, bringing joy as a high value into your relationship.
Exactly. Except I didn't eat the Reese's peanut butter cup.
I'm gonna buy you one.
You could have just asked them.
Oh, I could have, but I knew that wasn't the issue. The issue was,
Take nothing that is not given.
Yeah,
You're right,
but if you
that-
ask them, you don't have to do all the thinking.
well,
about it.
but I was studying the principle.
Your attachment, your impulse.
Yeah. So if that's all that you want to share at this time, I wanted to share with you, there is, most of you read this book, No Time to Lose, about 3-4 years ago by Pema Chodron. And on page 67, there is one of the verses that she said in the book that she repeats every morning when she gets out of bed in the morning. And I started doing this, and I've done this now for several years. Every morning when I get out of bed, just as all the Buddhas of the past embraced the awakened attitude of mind, and in the precepts of the Bodhisattvas, step by step, abode and trained, just so, and for the benefit of beings, I will also have this attitude of mind. And in those precepts, step by step, I will train myself in the body. So that's not telling you what to believe, it's just saying you want to move forward. And I promise to do that. So thought by thought, step by step, we make our intentions. And then the Buddha Master says, be natural. It was a few weeks ago here on a Tuesday or Friday, I wasn't here, that y'all talked about being natural. And on one of Zaxi Zuma's Saturday teachings that I attend every Saturday, she read right out of the book. Buddha Master says, study, learn, forget it. Be natural. So in being natural, what we're doing is trusting that all that studying and learning that we did has somehow worked through our psyche in such a way that we will be moving on the path automatically, that it will just come to us, that we will automatically have newer and better behaviors. And so we can be natural. I can't, yeah.
I just wanted to comment on it, because I contemplated that too, and the problem is that then when we think we know, that's why you have to forget, because then that's a huge obstacle. You've lost that openness to receiving and change.
And know that everything I've said this morning is a lie. Because it's all just words that are representations of something we don't even have a clue to. We just trust. I love to walk barefoot. And I can't because I constantly stub my toes. So I bought these barefoot shoes. And they really are. They're so flexible. When I put them on, they're just cotton on the top, so you don't even know you've got them on top. And they're skinny on the bottom, and they're so flexible that I'm able to walk naturally. And just as they protect my feet, so do the Dharma protectors protect us when we are walking the path. So we're not alone. So in closing, I would say, we can talk the walk, or we can walk the talk, step by step, and eventually move into emptiness, simply and naturally. Would somebody like to close? Yasi.
By this merit, may we quickly attain enlightenment and take with us every being without exception. Thank you, Suka.
Thank you.